recording. Okay, so once again, good morning, everybody. We're going to jump right in, and I am going to share my screen. I'm going to have quite a few slides today to go through. It will explain things a little bit easier for you, and then I'm going to make you work, and then I'm going to make you share, as I said. So let me find my share screen here, and we will get going. Yes. All right. So, first of all, welcome everybody once again. And this is all going to be about you. I want everybody to remember that this is all about play today. No pressure, even though I told you I'm going to call on everybody. No pressure. We're first going to take about 10 minutes and talk about the 3 knots. I call them the 3 knots of creativity, just things that can be impediments to you just letting yourself get involved in creativity, letting it kind of take over you instead of you trying to work with it yourself. It's much easier if you just give it its free rein. And then we're going to play. We have several games we're going to play, and I want everybody just to give them each a chance, even if something feels a little uncomfortable for you. Give it a shot, and we'll play with it, see what happens. Okay, so first of all, the 3 knots of creativity. Creativity is not exclusive and not gifted to only a select group of people. There are some people who have a habit of thinking that I can't be creative, I'm not like so-and-so. We are all creative. We tend to equate much of creativity with the arts, but it's far more than that. Everyone is born with it. It's how we solve problems on a daily basis, and it's not as mysterious as some would like to think. In its simplest form, creativity is a problem solver. It's how we figure out how to get from point A to point B every single day. Your own creative control center is especially wired to help you learn, create, grow, and survive as a human being. Understanding and nurturing your own imagination, which is uniquely different from everyone else's, is key to making it work even better for you. Knot number 2, creativity is not a lightning bolt. You can have a brilliant moment that seems to come out of nowhere, but what led up to that was probably an accumulation of experiences, thoughts, and a lot of tiny brilliant moments that you don't recognize, remember, or even give yourself credit for. Your mind is constantly storing, cataloging, saving data every second of your life. At the right moment, with the perfect catalyst, those pieces can all come together to form one big boom of inspiration. Sometimes it's a quiet whisper, but you're already building on your aha moments with every breath you take. Many eureka moments in history were preceded by accumulations of trials, accidents, experiments, dreams, or even scientific mistakes. The microwave was an accidental discovery when Percy Spencer noticed his candy bar melted in his pocket while he was building, I'm not going to pronounce this right, magnetons for Raytheon in the 1940s. It actually wasn't until 1967 that they got a microwave on the market that would be small enough to fit on the counter. That one that you see in the picture is taller than a man. It cost $5,000 in 1940s. This next example I feel sorry for. Josephine was just an accident-prone, poor thing. Her husband got tired of her cutting and burning herself. So he worked at, he was a cotton buyer for Johnson & Johnson, and he developed a prototype of a wound dressing she could use without the assistance of another person. I think he just got tired of putting bandages on her. And then I love this one. In 1941, George Mistral took his dog for a walk, and when he got home, he noticed all the burrs stuck to his pant legs and how they were hard to remove. Everybody who's been around burrs has had that experience. When he looked at them under a microscope, he noticed the burrs had hooks in them, and it was all he needed to see. He worked with a fabric manufacturer. He named his invention Velcro, which is a combination of velvet, and crochet, French for hook. And pretty much the rest is history. Simple things for all these people, but they kept their mind, their creative center open to possibilities. and just went with it, just kind of looked even further than the front of their nose, so to speak. And now that leads us to the final knot on the list. Creativity is not nature alone. You need to nurture it for it to grow. There's many people who, again, think that nature, creativity is, you're either born with it or you're not. But you need to help it along. You need to let it grow. Although genetics does play a role in how our imagination works for us, science has proven that environment can and does play a huge role in how well we are able to access and enhance our own personal creative control center. Improving on your creative process is no different than trying to learn a new skill or change an old habit. Actually showing up and having some kind of a routine practice that works for you will help bridge the gap between wishing you could do more to doing more than you thought you could. You need a blend of nature, the unique creative seeds you were born with nurture, encouraging those seeds to grow and flourish. My favorite example of this is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Amadeus, the movie based on Mozart and Salieri, was a great story. However, somewhat romanticized the idea that creativity is divinely inspired and only doled out to a very few. Sure, he was born with a natural inclination towards his music, but his upbringing and his work ethic played a huge role in who he was to become. Without the influence of his father, Leopold Mozart, who was a highly celebrated composer and very scholarly man, we may never have known who Mozart was. Leopold taught his son, beginning at an extremely young age, before he was 5, everything about music, including counterpoint and harmony. He exposed him to all the great composers of the day. He made sure that everyone who could be a useful influence to his son was included in his development. In short, Mozart worked regularly at his talent from the time he was a young boy. There was a lot of work that went on behind that divinely creative composer. What happens when nature is left to shrivel on the vine? In case you didn't know it, his older sister, Anna Maria Mozart, is a perfect example of how the flame of creativity can be muffled and even doused. Like her younger brother, she was also considered a prodigy, and there is some evidence that she even did some composing. However, when she turned 18, society dictated that it was unbecoming of a woman to have a career in music, much less any other career. We'll never know what the world might have missed hearing from her. That's kind of a family portrait. You don't see Mozart's mother there. They had 7 children in all, but Mozart and Wolfgang and Anna Maria were the only 2 that survived childhood. So how do you nurture your creativity? Having a regular practice, as I said, will go a long way in your efforts to encourage your imagination. Planning a personal trigger, one that works uniquely for you, can help you get into a routine. Here are some examples of what others have done. For decades, Twyla Tharp, she's a dancer, Twyla Tharp, has started her day by going to the gym. For her, the movements at the gym get her mind and body ready for dance. She has written that it's not actually being at the gym also that does it for her. It's the act of, she lives in New York City, it's the act of actually getting up and going to the cab and going to the gym. She said that signals her day, that signals her body that she wants to learn more. Some cooks may spend the morning in an herb garden. The touch, the smell, and the taste of the herbs inspires him or her to create. Others read cookbooks for enjoyment and inspiration. I will add that I read cookbooks and I'm still not a great cook, but I still love to read the cookbooks.
I'm doing that right now, reading a lot of cookbooks.
I love reading them. I love them. And it's still another creative outlet. So Beethoven, even when he had physical issues later in life, started every day with a morning walk. He carried a pocket notebook with him in which he scribbled rough notes about musical ideas that entered his mind as he took his strolls. He considered his walks a trigger that helped his brain to shift into the creative mode. For me, at night, I love to, even if I haven't been able to draw all day or if I have been drawing, I have a pouch and a small sketchbook next to my seat at the couch that I pick up. It's my trigger at night to do something just for me that's creative, that's fun, that has no rules or designs. And I try and do that, if not every night, most weeknights. So that's my trigger. Something simple, something small. Sometimes it'll take me 10 minutes. Sometimes it takes me longer and I miss the whole show that we're watching. So simple triggers, whatever works for you. What's going to work for you and your creative bent is not going to work for somebody else. This is one of my favorite quotes. People err to think my art comes easily to me. I assure you, my friend, nobody has devoted so much time and thought to composition than I. There is not a famous master whose music I have not industriously studied through many times. Mozart actually said that to a conductor who is also a composer and a contemporary of his time. When he was questioned as to whether his talent was just God-given, and he wanted to let that person know, you know what? No, I worked my entire life. I left my creative self open to learning as much as I could and feeding my creative heart. So you have much more creativity than you realize. Everybody has it. Although genetics does play a role in what paths or passions we pursue, science has proven that environment can and often does influence how well we're able to access our own personal creative control center. It just takes giving it attention, the attention it craves to flourish. So being open to it, finding things that excite your creative self. And if you're an artist, it might not just be art. It could be, like Bob mentioned, reading cookbooks. It could be going for a walk in the woods. It could be bicycling. It could be anything. All of that goes in to feed your creative mind. So before we begin our games, I have some non-negotiable rules for everybody. Everybody is to give each exercise a try, even if it isn't comfortable. You never know what's going to click for you. And sometimes things don't click the first time you try it. Sometimes later on, it'll mean something for you. 2, no self-judgment, none. Everything you do in the exercises is going to be a result of your own unique creative wiring. Everything is valid. Honor your results and see if you discover any new insights about your creative process. You might do something that's totally different from the next person. You might have come up with an image or a thought that feels to you as too simplistic from what somebody else comes up with. That's where your mind is going. Honor what your creative center is telling you, because even if you come up with something that's a simple idea, there's a lot that went on behind that in the history of your experiences, of your inspirations. So it means something. And finally, please relax and go with the flow. This is all about play. All we're going to do is play. The most important thing for you is to just show up, just keep playing. Emphasis on the play today. Okay? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go back in childhood and just be kids and try and let loose a little bit. Okay. So the first one we're going to do is wordplay. Does everybody have their baggies with their words in them?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, wordplay number 1. Pick up that noun bag and pull out 2 pieces of paper. You're only going to get 2 this time. If you get 2, I will give you 1 gimme, and if you don't like one of the words, you can take another one out, but you only get 1 gimme. So using the 2 words you chose, create 1 drawing. It's basically going to be a sketch. If you get stuck, think about other words, ideas, and meanings that might be connected to each word. For example, when using the words foot and mushroom, I came up with this and called it fungus among us. It's a super simple idea for this drawing. Nothing complicated, I know. It isn't a masterpiece, but it brings these 2 words, which are at first are totally unrelated, together in a fun and silly, unusual way. So go with the first thing that enters your mind about each of the words, and then try and draw something with that. And stop sharing here. I'm going to give everybody, and I'll put you on a timer. I'm going to give everybody, how about 5 minutes to draw?
Are we supposed to draw it on that square?
No, that's not yet. Yeah, just on a sheet of paper. I would suggest using either a pencil or a marker because I want you to be able to hold it up and have everybody see it when you're done. So starting now, I'm going to give you 5 minutes and let you go for it.
Okay.
I'm going to put my moon up for while, so it doesn't look like I'm staring at you.
Yeah, that's fine. Good Lord.
Okay, how's everybody doing? Cool. Georgia gave it a thumbs up. So I think I'm going to start in alphabetical order. That makes Barbara first. So everybody can go ahead and unmute their mic for the time being. And let me see if I can do gallery view here. Can everybody see everyone?
No.
Okay, hang on just a second here.
Okay, now you're
Oh, okay.
Now you're right.
At the upper right of your screen, see if you have the gallery view option.
Where would that be?
Hold on just a second.
I see me.
You see you?
I don't see anybody else. Do I have to share certain?
No. Does everybody have a gallery view at the moment, or able to get to a gallery view? Okay, so Cecilia, are you on an Apple?
Yes.
On an iPad?
Upper right corner of your Zoom window, there should be a little 9-boxy thing. Click that.
I'm not seeing a little line box.
Put your cursor on the window and wiggle it around.
Oh.
Are you on an iPad or are you on a computer?
Computer.
Okay. Yeah, if you wiggle your cursor over the upper right, you should see a option to do speaker view, gallery view.
No. I mean, I did it before when on the other class, but I don't know what in the world, how I did that.
Gallery view in the upper right-hand corner. You
I
click
can't, no, nothing's coming up.
on.
Very strange. And do you see at the upper right-hand corner a little broken box?
No,
Very strange. Okay.
very.
Well, we'll move ahead and hope we can think through that in a second. We'll let our creative minds mull on that for a bit. Okay, so I'm going to go with Barbara first since
Okay, my words were woman and book, and the only thing I could think of was drawing a book and putting the word woman on it, like a autobiography.
Okay, that's an idea. Let's see what you got.
Oh, it's just a picture of a book.
Okay, I like that. It's a book about a biography. That's one I wouldn't have thought of, so great job. How about you, Bob?
No boy. Okay, mine is fish and tail, Tail. So I drew a little girl fish with a little bow, and I did a little poem. This little girl who dreamed all day to swim and play, so to a fish she had to stay.
Love it. So yes, if you feel like writing today, please write. I love it, Bob. Love it. Okay, Cecilia.
Okay. Well, now I can't even see me, so I can't tell if y'all can see it. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had pencil and tail. So he's drawing with his tail.
That's cute.
I like that.
Cool.
That's a good idea. Love it.
You always have great ideas, Cecilia.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see. Next would be Debbie.
I had elephant and compact, and all I could think of was compact car
Hey!
to go
I
along.
wish I could see y'all's stuff. This is,
It would be compact when you're done sitting on it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, actually, yes, I should have put a squished one. Idea. I like that.
Georgia.
I have daisy and hat. So I drew someone wearing a daisy for a hat.
Oh,
Love that. Good. And Pam.
I had Daisy and dog.
Cute.
Oh, yeah.
Happy go lucky. Awesome. Good job, everybody. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go back to speaker view. Okay, does everybody see me here now?
Yes.
Mhm.
All right, so I'm going to go back to the screen. In a second. And back to, oh, it didn't go from, that's interesting. All right. We'll just do that. All right, so you've got one more word play to do. You should have another bag that has adjectives in it. So as with your other options, choose 2 words, but in this case, it's 2 adjectives. It's going to be a little bit harder. Think about all the ways you've seen the word used. When combined, do they make you think of something, remind you of something? Can one of the adjectives be used as a noun? Are they opposite ideas, or do they have something in common? For example, if you had the words hard and soft, you could simply draw hard-boiled eggs. Or you could do a chick that just came out of its shell. They are both hard on the outside and soft on the inside. And remember, it isn't always about creating an incredible masterpiece in your sketchbook. It's more important to get your mind thinking in new directions. And this is another quote I like. Creativity comes from a conflict of ideas. Sometimes it takes 2 opposite ends of the spectrum for you to bring something into the middle and have an aha moment. So once again, I am going to give you 5 minutes. I will put my moon up there so that I'm not staring at you. And I want you to go ahead now and come up with at least 1 sketch. If you're really industrious, you can do 2, or write a poem, or do whatever comes to your mind. Okay, everybody have something? All right, let me change this view. If you can change it to gallery view, do that. There you are, Cecilia. Okay, everybody unmute. And this time I'm going to start backwards. So we'll start with Pam.
I had curly, scary. So this is just an enlightened thing here. Lightning bolts and curls.
Works for me. Great, thank you. Okay, how about Georgia?
I had round and crooked. So I drew guy with a round head and a crooked nose.
Works. You know I like those creatures, so yay.
Sucking up.
How about Debbie?
I did a couple of them, but scary and round.
Oh, good. You did a couple of them. Let's see the other one.
Tired and skinny, so I just did a really.
Oh, I like that one.
And then I realized I had a noun and an adjective for my last one, so I redid that one.
Okay. All right, Cecilia.
well, I had skinny and smooth, and I came up with a little mushroom guy. I didn't put hair on him because I usually like to do wild hair. So in this case, he's just kind of bald. I made him skinny.
Love it. Another creature. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob.
Okay, mine was skinny and curly. So I did skinny and curly, a funny noodle for pasta, yes, but not for strudels.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. How about you, Barbara?
I had wiggly and angry. And first I thought of it just an angry worm because it's wiggly. And then I thought of a piece of Jell-O and how you shake a Jell-O when you're really angry. So I put an angry Jell-O. Like,
Love it. It's really fun to see what, you know, somebody had, was it you, Pam, and you, Bob, that had the same two words, I think. So it's fun to see how your own mind comes up with something and someone else's, and it's just as
switch together with you.
Getting help, Cecilia?
Yeah, my sister's Googling it. We're trying to figure this out. Let me mute.
Okay. I'm going to go back to speaker view here. Let's go on to, did anybody find one of those, the first one, easier than the second one?
I thought the nouns were a lot easier.
Uh-huh. Anybody else?
the adjectives that easier.
It's kind of interesting because usually people prefer one of those over the other. I like the
It
noun.
was hard and painful.
What's that?
I said it was hard and painful, all of it.
Owie, owie.
Owie, owie.
Okay, so we're going to share, moving right along, we're going to share the screen again. All right, here we go.
Oh, she just have to wait.
All right, so yes, we're going to be talking a little bit about abstract ideas. And so we did the words. For some people, words are easier. Sometimes people who write find words easier to create from. People who are avid readers might enjoy the words as far as coming up with something, an idea from those words. Now we're going to do some abstract. And it can be both tactile and it can be not tactile. For instance, quilters are a perfect example of artisans who are inspired to create basic shapes and colors. The experience for them is both visual and tactile, and it is for the person who enjoys their art too. Abstract artists can use deceptively simple elements to paint, draw, or sculpt works of art that are just as emotive and stunning as any realistic rendering. Sometimes just taking things down to their basic element, for me, that's sometimes a lot tougher, and it's a harder exercise for me to do because I all of a sudden just want to add all the detail in right off the bat. So this one might be harder for some than it is for others. So Pam Belcher was gracious enough to let me use a couple of her pieces here. Thank you, Pam. And these are both, I believe, on drafting film. In case any of you have not worked with colored pencil on drafting film, she does quite a lot on that surface. And doesn't only do I just wanted to include these. This one, I want you to notice how she's using fairly simple elements to make a composition that kind of swirls around. I love this. Everything kind of goes towards the center.
It came from this. This is my source.
Okay. Oh, I should have gotten that. I should have gotten that ahead of time.
No, that's okay.
But I love this, the colors. I love the composition. Even though it all comes to the center, I don't want to sound silly, but it makes me feel centered. I love this piece. And I want to point out that she put, I believe it was a part of a silver tray underneath she rubbed the top of the film to get those textures on there. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I love this piece because it's using, for me, close-up, simple shapes. But then she goes bigger and gets a whole lot more shapes. I love this. It's emotive, it's fun, it still keeps you in the center, and the colors and everything are just wonderful. I love this piece. This is abstract, and yet it's fun to watch. It's fun to get lost in. So those are two examples in color. I pulled some samples from my college days, so these are pretty old. I had to get the yellow out in Photoshop. The paper's so old. And what we did in that class is cut up, it was a little bit more involved in this beforehand, but we ended up cutting up shapes. Everyone's shapes were unique to themselves, and we had to arrange them on pieces of paper. We made them very simple in black, and we had to do a whole array of them. My favorite ended up being the top left. It reminded me of a Madonna and Child. But yet it was still a fun exercise. Again, even way back in college, it was still really rough for me because I wanted to make detail. And I still look at that Madonna and Child and go, I like that, but I want to add a face and I want to add cloth. And so these are all inked drawings that we did from our cutouts. So what I'm going to be asking you to do is something similar. You don't have to worry about emotions. You don't have to worry about titles. But I want you to take out those two sheets of paper that you made a 5-inch square on, or smaller if that's what's on you needed to on your drawing pad. And I'd like you to take 3 or 4 objects of the shapes and cut them out. And you'll need that many for each of your squares. So you're going to be working on 2 different squares. You can tear these sheets. You can tear these shapes up. You can cut them into smaller shapes or change the shapes of them. You can color them in. You can color in the backgrounds if you want. But I'd like you to make 2 different compositions. And then when you're happy with them, you can glue them down, and then we're going to share them. I'm going to give you longer for this. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. If you don't finish it, no worries. You can kind of finish it later and tell us how you want to finish it. If you're going to end up giving a title, or if you're going to end up, like I said, the top left one reminded me of Madonna and Child. Don't tell us what your thoughts are. When you share it, I'd like to see what other people think, because it's kind of fun to see what your work inspires in others. So I am going to give you 10 minutes starting now. And
so we're supposed to use these shapes, right?
Correct. Yes, you can cut those out. You can make them smaller. You can cut them at a different angle. You can tear them. Whatever you want to do with them, go ahead. And I'm going to give you 10 minutes starting now. And I'll leave these instructions up for you. Some people, when doing this, start to, their mind starts clicking into everything from emotions to a memory to a story. Just go with that, whatever it is that pops into your mind while you're organizing it. Let that take over your composition if you want. And I'm going to take this off the screen now so that we can pause the recording. Okay. So everybody want to unmute their mics again, and let's see what you got. I'm going to start in the middle this time. How about Georgia?
All right, I did that. Those are mountains.
I like this.
This is so hard for me. And then I did that just because I liked how it looked.
Oh, I like that. Okay, cool. All right, so you want to hold up that first one again?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now we're going to ask everybody else if you, Debbie, you need to unmute. Debbie, you need to unmute your mic. I can't talk. And let's start seeing what other people see in what you've done. Anybody want to chime in?
I see a happy face with googly eyes.
Oh, now I see it too.
I see eyes, but I see somebody very interested in something. Like they're raising their eyes like, wow, like that kind of. So that's kind of cool. Anybody else?
I see a bird flying through the sky and over the hills.
I like that. Anybody else want to add?
If I could see it would be great.
I'm sorry?
I still can't. So I still can't get
Oh,
into gallery view.
oh no. Okay, let's flip that over, Georgia. And I'll say first that because I live next to saltwater, I see a sailboat race.
That's what I saw.
Exactly.
So I loved that one. It makes me think of home here.
Neck and neck.
Yeah, there's a sense of urgency for me in it, so I really like that. Good job. Thank you, Georgia. Okay, Pam, how about you? Ooh, I like that. Cool.
Oh, wow.
Oh, neat.
Love that. Cool. Okay, so before you have any input on your artwork, how about holding up the first one and let's all see what we get from, excuse me, from her first one. Anybody?
It looks like you're really good at doing abstract compositions.
The triangle in the middle, the black triangle really pulls my eye to, falling out of control into chaos. I don't know.
I see a needle going into a little body.
Oh,
Ouch.
Ow.
I like the way you put the two converging lines, stops your eye from going out of the focal point.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
It's someone waving on a sunny day.
Oh, love that. Great. Let's do the second one. Like that. I like that the one center piece is white and everything else has the shades of gray. That makes my eye go right to that. Like that's the most important thing for me. I like that.
Looks
Anybody
like someone stacking boxes with a hand truck to me.
Oh yeah. Now I see it.
And
Cool.
tipping over.
Well,
I see someone riding in a wheelchair to an art display of paintings.
yeah. Okay. So Pam, were you thinking of anything?
No.
Just arranging. Okay. And okay, Cecilia, how about showing us what you got?
All right. They're not sticking down very good. This is my first one.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Cool.
Neat.
Oh, only this. I actually wanted this to stick out. So
Ah, cool.
Cool. Okay, we'll keep that one up on the screen. Anybody want to say what this does for you or what you think of it?
Looks like the top of a hat. Like the hat. Flat hat. Boing, 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 boing.
Oh, yeah. It also looks like a basket to me with the flower coming out.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Anybody else? Oh, you're on mute, Georgia. Georgia, you're on.
I like the shadow it's casting on the paper, the piece that comes out. That's interesting.
Yeah, it adds an extra element to it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been there otherwise. Cool. Okay, why don't you flip to the other one? Let's do the same with that one. This one makes me think of a White House.
Yeah.
Again, because I'm very
Like an award, a crystal award to me with different shapes. Then it looks like the top of a head and the hat with a tassel.
cool. Yeah.
To me, it looks like an alien artifact in which we are coming through a canyon, and we just see this sitting right in the middle of that canyon.
Cool.
Reminds me of Unity for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking it has like religious kind of overtones for me.
Oh.
It's just the way everything goes up.
Oh, that's a good thought. Okay.
That's sort of, there's always circles around religious heads. And
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have were you just doing composition or had any thoughts in your mind while you were doing them?
no thoughts. I just was putting shapes together.
Great. Okay. Let's see, Debbie.
I guess I was way too literal. I just sort of freeform cut some shapes and didn't get one of my sketches very
That
well.
looks like your bird from the other day.
I love it. Okay.
I should have 10 for these, actually.
And you're not to anything today. It's how your mind and your creativity works. So stick with that.
This one.
Cool.
Oh,
Okay.
cool. That looks like a bird too.
Yeah. So hold up that first one, and anybody want to have some comments that it makes you feel, or
Flamingo.
yeah.
Mine were those dipper dolls.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, that brings back good memories. Cool. And your other one.
And this one I called strutting.
oh.
This guy.
That just makes me feel good to see it.
That's a seagull.
It just
Standing on a rock.
I see a seagull getting ready to go surfing on his board.
oh, there you go. Great. And were you thinking of seagulls when you did this one, Debbie?
I just I freeformed the shapes with nothing in mind, and then the shapes gave me. And because the other shapes were more very geometrical, I wanted these to be more amorphous.
Uh-huh. Which is perfect. That's your brain is telling you that's what it would prefer to do. I also like that you took it off the edge of the paper, because for me, it's the bird taking off and leaving. Awesome. Nice.
Concern. I was thinking more of a person when the pieces went together for some reason.
Like a
Our
mustache.
brain shifts though.
A concern was that one.
Great. Okay, Bob.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Great. Ah,
Cool. Okay. So I will say keep holding that one up, and we'll go back to the other one. For me, it reminds me of a volcano. And we live in the Pacific Northwest, so my brain does go there. I can't help it. So there's a little bit of energy to that, which I find interesting since they're static shapes. But the two semicircles are up in the air. It looks like they came off somehow or moving away from that triangle. Anybody else?
Looks like a spooky face.
Yeah, it'd be that Halloween. Anybody else?
I was looking down at it, and it's forcing its way through what was a circle.
Oh, yeah, that's a different way of looking at it. I like that. Bob, what did you have in your mind when you were doing this, or were you just using playing with the shapes?
I viewed it as a guardian angel
Oh, yeah.
who stands back into the shadows, but he's there.
I love that. Okay,
Great.
love that. And his wings are unfurled. I love that.
Right, exactly.
Cool. Okay, and let's go with the other one. This makes me think of a city close to mountains for me. Anybody else?
Yeah, I get the same vibe from it.
Yeah, it's a landscape kind of feeling for me.
You my head. I love the sailboat one. So I see the triangle in that one and say, oh, it's a city by a sailboat.
Oh, yeah.
That looks like Egypt to me. Did anybody already say that?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what was your thoughts while you were doing this one?
I was looking and saying there is the pyramid or the foundation, and which we can have building blocks, which I showed to the left, a building towards a sun or towards our future.
Great. So you and Pam are connecting on the vibes there, which is cool. Okay. Thank you. Let's go for Barbara.
Oh, cool.
Oh, neat. Okay, so we'll stay on this one for a second. Anybody want? There you go. What does this mean to you? What are you seeing here?
I see a martini and a slice of lime underneath.
There you go.
Because when I looked at it, all I could think of was sushi for some reason, and his mark
Oh,
together.
Makes me think of cat faces, like cat noses.
Oh yeah, I was thinking cat and mouse.
Yeah.
I like that. Anybody else? Okay, awesome. Let's see your second one, Barbara.
That's cool.
Cool.
holy camole.
This one seems to have more of a story to it. And
No, just shapes.
I see a clown who's lost his way and he's kind of, his nose is going off, but he's got this clown thing there.
Okay.
You know, with the hat, with the hat and the eye, and then the kind of nose got a little goofy. So he's trying to compose himself. So it's a clown out of composure.
I do see a Picasso-y kind of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same that
Yeah.
nose is straight down, at that diagonal. Yeah. I just thought of a little robot guy because I just watched a robot movie last night.
So I just compared you to Picasso, Barbara. So I just want.
Thank you. I think.
So this was several things in one. A lot of it was tactile. And for some people, that part is terribly uncomfortable. Another part is simplifying things down to just basic shapes, which is also tougher for some people, and others it's not. How many people found this one tougher?
I found that when I started using the glue stick, it reminded me why I failed kindergarten.
It's a lot easier.
What's that?
I find this easier for me
No.
because
Do you enjoy cooking, quilting, gardening, any of those?
well, I don't quilting, color pencil painting, knitting, that kind of stuff. Tactile hand coordination.
So this would be something that would be right down your alley and you'd be comfortable. For somebody who is not comfortable with, I'm sorry?
In college, when I did Nolan, and we learned opposites, black and white,
Uh-huh.
that reminded me of that.
Yeah, we had to do the same thing. And at the time I hated it, but I also got a lot out of it at the time. We've done words and we've done tactile. We've done basic shapes. If you find something uncomfortable, it's also a good signal for you to keep trying to do it and to build on that. The other thing that you could do with the words is mix them up. We did an adjective and a noun. Do just two adjectives. Take 3 words. Just kind of play with it and do it in a sketchbook and see what you come up with. It'll make your brain work a little bit harder. So let me see. It's 10 after 10. Trying to make sure I keep the time. And let's see. We might be. Oops. Yeah. So we're going to take a break. We'll do just 10 minutes. That should be fine for everybody, right? And when we come back, we're going to take a little bit longer to do the following exercises. But again, we are going to be sharing with each other. So please get prepared for that. And take a 10-minute break, and we'll see you back here in 10 minutes.
Okay.
All righty.
So we're back from our break. This will be like the magic of television. We stop, and then here we are back again. Just to recap the first half, what was easier for you all of your first couple exercises and what wasn't? Tell me and share why, so that because what you say may help somebody else and may inspire somebody else. So how about if we go with Bob and Barbara first? Do you guys want to have any input?
I guess the words were easier for me, but I tend to, with the words, I can do more poems or the soliloquies or something real quick in my mind, but then I have to try to convert into some kind of a drawing. And of course, my problem is I can see it in my mind what I want, but I have a problem trying to draw it down onto paper.
Okay. I think that's a common artist dilemma. We know what's in our mind and we want it to look like that when it goes on the drawing pad. And
I think it's one of the problems for me is that when I learned in colored pencil, I had started drawing earlier, but then when I went to colored pencil, it was more of a thing of you have a photograph, you photograph something you want, then you take that and then you scan it onto a piece of paper, and then I call it paint by numbers. You go ahead and put your color pencil and all your values and shade and everything to it, but you don't spend time drawing it. You bypass that so you can spend more time in the color pencil world. So
okay.
that became a problem for me.
Okay. How about you, Barbara?
Mine was the words. I'm terrible with the words. I could not find images in my head to combine the words. But give me the shapes and I'll go for it, babe.
Okay.
So much easier.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And one thing to think about, for instance, with the words, is go with if you saw if somebody had curly angry. I think, what does that make you feel? Draw what it makes you feel. Draw shapes that make you feel like that, or even write down other words that make you feel. So interpret them in a way that works for you versus just what's in front of you. So try and find another doorway in.
Okay.
So, but I thought you did great on those shapes. I love them, and your drawings were great too. So good job. How about Cecilia?
I found the words easier. I tend to need reference photos to draw. I mean, that's just how I was trained, was to paint from reference photos. But words, they trigger ideas for me. Abstract is really, really hard. So just to have shapes and, it doesn't do much for me.
There's a lot more gray matter for shapes for me than letting go, which again is maybe where the concentration should be for me. But you've been doing a lot of drawing from your imagination recently, so I think they're fun. I really love them. So
thank you. It helps if I have like gesture studies, so I can get like the body shape, because I have a real hard time doing that, just trying to figure it out by myself. But or if I have, something that shows, like, then I can do that.
I save all my, I still have my drawings from college. As a matter of fact, my life drawing professor used to get really, a little aggravated with me because I'd get bored with just drawing what I saw. So I turned those people into mermaids, and
I would like to fly on the wall.
He was okay with me doing that if I did one drawing normal, but I just, but I saved all those drawings, and I still save my sketchbooks now because I'll do the same thing. I'll practice a surprise look or whatever. I took a lot of life drawing, and I even took some outside of college. Loved it, still love it, but it takes practice sometimes. It's still practice. How about you, Debbie?
To trigger off words or sayings or quotes, that's easier. And that's funny because I'm into collage right now, and one of the reasons I did did it was I wanted to learn to see shapes. I'm a line person. I wanted to see shapes. So I could paint better and do other things better. So even though it was easier because it's like, okay, yeah, I'll just make these random shapes. The color helped me because I have these packets of, different color, different types of paper. So I find that if I had to just do it with black and white, I would have more trouble. I find that the color actually helps me because I'm getting distracted by pattern and shapes and textures. So I found that actually, I was glad I pulled my paper packets out and used those.
Good job. Yeah. And there's a good point in that you know how your creativity works. You're attracted to color and it helps trigger other ideas for you. So going that route helped you to work with the shapes better than just having those black and white and gray shapes. So you honored the way your creativity thinks and works. So yeah, good for that. How was the, what did you say about the words? What do the words?
Easier because I tend to I've done a lot of the, word for the day as an inspiration. So have a lot more practice. And when I just drew by myself, I always had like some word or maybe a funny saying in my head. And it's like, okay, I like making funny things. And then that would speak to me, maybe not exactly, but that would be the seed.
But those were your catalyst. Yeah. Yeah.
You or something funny my dog did, and then say, oh, and my husband will say something funny, and it's like, oh, I have to do a cartoon of that.
Yes. I relate. Okay, cool. How about you, Georgia?
I like the words better because there's just, for me, there's more options. Like if I see the word daisy, there's, like 100 different things I could try.
Yeah.
And then I can narrow it down to something. The abstract shapes are a lot harder for me, but I'm working on that.
And how about Pam?
I've never tried the word thing before, so that was interesting. The shape thing is really fun and gave me some ideas on how to proceed. So that's good.
So great. Another thing you can do with what we've done so far, and I won't make you do it, is pull out a noun, pull out an adjective, just one of those two, and then work with your abstract shapes and make something that represents whatever that word you pulled out is. And it's, not necessarily cutting out those shapes. You could sit there and say, I'm only going to draw circles and triangles, or I'm only going to do lines and circles. And I'm going to make something that says dog, or I'm going to make something that says angry. And limit yourself to just a few shapes and or colors, up to you. But it's especially if you're challenged by abstract, it's a good exercise to do. And if you're challenged by abstract but not words, it can be really helpful for your compositions. So Georgia and I are taking another course, so that's one of the things we had to do in that class. And Debbie too, yes. So it's challenging, I know, but that's when you should do it more. So, okay. Anybody else have any comments about what we did this before the break? Okay. So let's see where we left off. Okay. We're going to do music right now. Music creates emotion. It creates memories. It creates a lot of feelings. For this, I'm going to ask you to make sure your microphone, your sound is turned way up, because there will be some low pieces in this. We are going to listen to this music, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of time to either write down what your thoughts, what you experience with it, or draw what you experience from this music. Most, if not all of you, will recognize the piece. And then once we talk about it, I'm going to say what the story is behind the music, because the composer did have a particular story behind this. So if your mic is turned up, I want you to just close your eyes while you're listening. Just pay extra attention. Whatever comes to your mind. One person told me once that all I had was a certain color come to my mind. Great. Where does that color bring you? What does that color mean to you? What does the color is attached to you? And so being different in what everybody else does, again, doesn't make it worse or better. It's your unique wiring. So I want you to honor that. So I'm going to click onto this next one, and we're going to listen to this piece. Okay, can everybody hear that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I would like you to take a few minutes. I'll give you about 5 minutes. Write down anything you wanted to write, whether it's words or sketches or drawing. Write down your impressions for this, and we're going to share that, and then I'll tell you what the story is. If you know the story behind this, then you could draw that, but we're going to share that in just a few minutes. So I'm going to give you time, and I'm going to stop the share here and let you go for it. Okay, so we have a couple of people still doing a little bit of writing or drawing and or both. So let's start with those who look like they're done. How about Debbie?
Well, at first I've been watching a lot of Fantasia for the for the animation and the music and the colors. So I had a hard time getting that out of my head, even though it's not the same music, but it just reminded me of I had to keep pushing it out. So, but sorcery, conjuring, swirling, building up to a conflict without a happy ending. So that's kind of,
Okay.
came out of that. And I didn't do it visually because I would have drawn broomsticks dancing
and that's okay. That's perfectly okay, because that's what it was triggering in you at the moment. So perfectly okay. The idea that it has to be something in particular or not connected with something you were doing before, I wouldn't worry about that because it's where your mind wants to go, and it was still triggering creative thoughts for you. And that's the whole point of it. So I wouldn't worry so much about what it was, it's just that it did. I think that that's the most important thing.
Okay.
So good job. Okay, how about Pam?
Well, this triggered a whole bunch of things for me. You know, in elementary school, when you have to go to the symphony orchestra, we did that in Denver anyway. And I hated it every year. I didn't have any classical music playing in my household because my father was a jazz drummer and he liked only jazz. So we listened to jazz. This particular year, they played the Pure Good Suite. And the conductor told the story before each part.
Okay.
And it was the first time that it was like, oh, you know, it was a very enlightening moment. And then my husband and I also lived in Norway for a year, 39 years ago. And so, and we went to Grieg's house, and Grieg's, you know, his grave, and it's on a fjord there, and he had a little house where really cool. His house is really beautiful, but he also has this little cabin-like thing where he actually went to write. And so I was thinking about that in Norway, and Norway is just incredibly beautiful, and all the mountains. Norway's just astounding. So
It's
that's
one
where
of the places I'd love to go to. Yeah.
it's great. So it just, you know, and then the piece itself, I'm real familiar with it. So I've always enjoyed it, the tempo and the volume, you know, the rising tension. So eloquently done, musically speaking. So that was where I went. So I didn't get any, just like Debbie there, I was just filled with all these thoughts. So.
But again, it did what it was supposed to. It brought it
Yeah.
gave memories. It invoked images of the past, and I like that it brought you back to your childhood. My dad was very much into music, everything from opera to whatever. And when I was brought up, we listened to a lot of. I always heard opera or something going on the record players. But my dad was also pretty open-minded in high school. He said, if you listen to what I listen to and let me tell you what's behind the music and who's behind it, I'll listen to your music, but you better be able to tell me who's playing it and why. And he listened to Steppenwolf. He listened to Jesus Christ Superstar, my mother, and cried at the end. My mother just thought we were going to hell for listening to it. But yeah, we kind of had similar things where he made it come to life, where suddenly went, wow, there's a story behind this, or this is what happened to that composer when he wrote this, or so it brought it to life. So yeah, I like that. That's all those memories were brought up for you. Cool. Georgia.
A lot of times when I listen to classical music, to me it feels like it's almost like it's like composing a painting. Like you start with really broad idea, and then you narrow it down as you go, and you add more and more detail as you go along. Or that's what I do. So I mean, that's definitely what that piece of music does for me. It starts out really deep and slow, and you know, it builds slowly, and then toward the end, it's really frantic and things are happening a lot faster. So, and then I was going to say the Fantasia soundtrack is one of my favorite things to listen to when I'm drawing, because it's organized that way too. Like it starts out, it builds kind of slowly, and then the last one is the Firebird Suite, and that's really beautiful and detailed piece of music. So.
Mm-hmm. So did this one give you any images?
Well, I mean, I drew this, but...
Oh, cool. That kind of illustrates the way the music went.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Let's see, Cecilia.
Well, so when it first started off, it sounded like the twang of wire, which, you know, being from Texas, I think barbed wire. And then I heard like tiptoes, And then I thought of raindrops falling and they got steadily harder and harder. Well, so I came up with this little sketch. And so my little horse starts off where he's tiptoeing along on the barbed wire and the rain is slow. Can y'all see that?
Yes, I can.
That's cool.
And then it gets heavier and he starts bouncing more. And then toward the end, he's about ready to bounce off the wire and his umbrella's inside out. And
Yeah, it does get pretty stormy and loud in that piece.
yeah, so that was fun. And you know, my mom was in choir, and so I was exposed to a lot of different music also, classical, which I love. And of course, you know, then I had older brothers and sisters that were into the Beatles and, you know, listened to that. And matter of fact, I liked their music a lot better than when I was in high school, because, you know, I was in the late 70s and early 80s, and that turned into disco.
Uh-oh, you froze.
Uh-oh.
There, I can hear you, but you're frozen.
Am I back?
There you go. There you go. You're back.
Oh, I don't know why, because I'm working on my end now. But anyway, I like all kinds of music. Yeah.
Yeah, I will have anything and everything. Jazz, like Pam was talking about, classical. As a matter of fact, when I tell, I won't use Alexa's name out loud because she'll start playing. But I have doing, I like that song, and she'll say that I have got probably one of the most eclectic list of music. It'll go from Tony Bennett to a little bit of country to 70s rock to classical music, which I love, which I'd like that to work with most of the time. So yeah, I like a mix of it too. I'm pretty eclectic. How about you, Barbara?
I first, excuse me, first started thinking about the ballet and all the different ballerinas dancing, but then I started thinking about a circus act and how one will come out and start doing their thing, and then another act comes out and wants to take over and starts doing their thing. Before you know, you have all these acts out trying to outdo each other and going to a crescendo, and then they kind of start leaving one by one. That's what I came up with.
Cool. I like that, and I wouldn't have thought of that. I like that idea. Cool. Bob.
Okay, this is what I come up with. A mouse who found a wand, he tried to see what he could do. He used the wand to start a dance. Mops and brooms began to prance. The wand proved too strong for him. He couldn't stop the dance, and water seemed to flood the scene. His power now became that dream. The chaos was to be so strong, he couldn't help but go along. And only after time he knew on how to stop the crew. The mops and brooms and flood did stop, and he was able to go back to the top.
Yay.
So it was a flood of, to me, Disney and Mickey Mouse when he had the wand in Fantasia, and the flooding and the mops and all. And I even did a real super quick sketch in my mind to see the little mouse on the stand with the brooms and soap water and stuff. So that's what came to my mind, because to me, that particular set of music is for that Mickey Mouse with the brooms and the water and all. You know, just like the other classic with Peter and the Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what I got.
Awesome. I think, as it usually is, it's interesting how everybody's comes up with some, you know, a slightly different bent or a memory or a certain way of interpreting or reacting to music. And as I said earlier, it can be emotions, it can be memories, whatever it is. You need to honor that and use that as your springboard. I know that Pam does a lot of pieces where she has family memories or history, and they're kind of fun because her art brings everybody into her memories. Then some of us like to draw fantasy characters. Some of us like to write. So it's really kind of cool how one single catalyst can trigger something different for everybody. And every single one of them is valid and fun. Anybody else have any comments you want to bring up about music?
Yes, it was very interesting doing this. It brought memory back when I was in French class. Mr. Moss would always have us listen to music. We'd close our eyes and we'd have to listen to music. And then we would have to interpret what we heard or what we felt. Of course, it was in French we had to do it, but it brought back that kind of memory to me. It was like, oh yeah, I can remember now where we would close our eyes and listen to music.
And just as I said earlier too, when we talked about it, inspiration not being a lightning bolt out of the blue, there was that in your past that you connect with. So that was also all part of that poem that you just wrote today. It helped you to put those words on your paper even from way back when. So all of our inspiration is it's all piled up inside our brains and inside our souls, and it comes out in different ways. So cool. Anybody else?
I think that maybe more about the process of, I love when there are prompts and what people come up with, because it shows that everybody is unique and has that unique voice. And one thing I find I have to do every once in a while is stop looking at the internet, because sometimes, as a beginner, you look at it and say, okay, why should I bother doing, look how amazing these people, look at how creative they are. How can I add anything to that, But then it's like, well, why are you doing the art? I'm doing it because it's fun and expresses me. So this just kind of feeds into my issue of sometimes having to say, stop looking at people's work.
Or look at it from a completely different viewpoint. The dancer I mentioned earlier, Twyla Tharp. Oh, sorry, did I cut you off?
Oh no, that's okay. I talked over you. I apologize. I said no. It's the mood I'm in. It's just like, okay, when I'm in that mood, just turn it off, and then it will be fine.
Best not to feed it. Yeah, best not to feed that monster. Twyla Tharp, the dancer that I mentioned earlier, has a pretty good book on creativity and how she's used it in her dance career. But she makes a good point that I've seen in other books and discussions, in that people say, well, it's already been done. Well, Disney has already taken Fantasia and made a movie out of it. But you could listen to that and get completely different emotions or feelings or memories or images from it. So, yeah, things have already been done, but they weren't done by you. So there's that, and that's the most important thing, is to put your bent on it. So good. Anybody else? Okay, cool beans. Let's see what we got next. And it goes back to that. Let's see. Next. Okay, so Peer Gynt is the story behind this piece that you just listened to. And I'm going to read the way that I liked this description, which I actually copied it from the internet and forgot to credit it, so I apologize there. But the music begins very slowly and softly. That's Peer Gynt entering the Mountain King's royal hall. The reason he's run to the Mountain King, where he did go, is he fell in love with a girl that he was never going to be able to have. So poor Gynt, he had to go somewhere else to see if he could find his fortune and make life better for him, and he really made it worse. The music is getting louder and faster. As Peer Gynt gets closer, there's a large crowd of trolls, and the Mountain King is sitting on his throne. The king wants Peer Gynt to marry his daughter, but to do it, he must become a troll. And Pierre's not having anything to do with it. The music is playing very fast and loud. Peer Gynt refuses, and the crowd of trolls roars and begin to chase him. So Peer Gynt runs faster and faster, is almost captured by them, but at the last moment, he hears the church bells and follows the sounds and escape. Now, you should know that trolls do not like churches. They won't go near a church. And so that was helpful for him, the reason he ran towards the churches. And very loud chords complete the moment, and the trolls all disappear within the mountain, and the mountain collapses. So there is a story that Grieg had behind this. Trolls are very Norway. There's even still towns that are named after trolls, streets that are named after trolls. It's really kind of a magical place. I want to go there someday, but of course, trolls are one of the things I like to draw. So this song just made me go, okay, we got to choose this. I'm the teacher, so I get to choose. So there's a story behind almost all these classical pieces. If it's not a literal story like this, there was something going on in the conductor or the composer's life, or any number of things that still make it fun to listen to, but it can also be a catalyst for whether emotions or words or memories. And any music does work. I find that music without words, though, work better, only because you end up listening to the words and putting your version of what's going on based on the words you're hearing. So that might not be true for you. That's kind of my thing. So again, it doesn't matter. It's not right or wrong, but it's what you get from it. Okay. So now we're gonna.
Cool.
I'm sorry?
I said that troll is really cool.
Oh, thanks. He started out from my nightly sketching, and he ended up wanting a life, so I gave it to him. So anybody else have any more comments about music before we go on? Okay. So we're going to do something that's going to take a little bit more time, and it's called Once Upon a Time with a Twist. And what I'm going to do is walk you all through a guided visualization. I'm going to ask, when I say to do it, you'll be turning off your camera and muting yourself, only because I'm going to ask everyone to close their eyes and listen to me. I don't want anybody else to feel comfortable like that anybody's watching them close their eyes or any of that. So that's why I'm going to be asking you to do that. And I'm going to stop the video here. So if you would now turn off your camera and mute your button. And everybody's good to go. And then I'm going to, Bob, you guys want to turn off your video?
I think it's off.
I can see you.
Are you seeing me?
Yeah.
I didn't take it off.
On your lower left.
Lower left.
On my lower left.
Stop video. No,
Yeah,
that.
video.
Yeah, that's it.
Ding, 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 you got it. Okay, and I am going to put my video off, so nobody's looking at anybody. Everybody can relax. And I'm going to give you instructions, and all you have to do is sit back and listen and see what you come up with. So I want you to sit comfortably in your chair, close your eyes, and I want you to follow along with me as your own creative self guides you. If you notice sounds around you, just allow them to be part of the background. And now give yourself 2 very deep cleansing breaths. In 1, and exhale, and 2. And now just allow yourself to relax, and most importantly, set your intention on simply allowing the following tale to unfold. Now, keeping your eyes closed, imagine that you're getting up from your chair and moving towards the doorway of the room you're in. As you do, Notice that the entrance to your room is no longer a simple door or doorway. It looks very much like a book cover. It feels friendly and welcoming and might even hold adventure for you. Beyond this book cover is a portal that allows you to step into a tale that's just waiting to be told. It's your tale. Now imagine yourself moving closer to that book cover. What do you observe about it? This is an important step. Take note of everything. Color, material. Is there a title? And if so, what does it say? What does the font look like? Is the cover new or old? Take into account even things like scent, taste, or feel. Observe all you can about it. And now imagine that that book cover is beginning to open to you. And as it does, you'll see that you can step through this portal into a new place in time, space, or reality. You have now entered the story, and you are the main character in your tale. Now that you've crossed the threshold, observe your surroundings. Are you inside or outside? Are you familiar with where you are in memory or imagination? Is it a particular space in time? Just continue to observe around you. You can even look down at your feet. Notice if you're wearing shoes or if your feet are bare. Move up your body. What do you imagine you're wearing? Notice everything. Again, touch, scent, taste, feel. Do you feel like you are you or someone else? Allow yourself to access all your senses. This is who you are in your story. You are the hero. Who are you as a character? Now imagine yourself moving forward on a short quest to find something or someone important to you in your mini saga. Who or what would you be looking for in here? If you aren't sure of an answer, look around for someone who can help you and know that they're very close by. If it isn't a person or a being, perhaps there's a clue very near you that you can observe. Simply continue to allow yourself to experience and observe all you can. Everything you think, feel, and observe is valid and true to your story. If you have discovered the reason for your quest, allow yourself, your character, to begin to move towards finding or discovering that goal. And take a moment to allow that to happen. And keep moving forward in the story. And now, no matter where you are in the story, gently let everything pause. You'll return later to complete your story, so it's fine to leave things as they are. But for now, it's time to begin the journey back to your seat. Remembering all you've experienced so far, allow yourself to comfortably move back through the story to the entrance of the portal. If you like, you can turn one more time to observe your surroundings and then move back through the portal of the book cover, allowing it to softly close behind you. You now have safely returned to your room and can move back to the chair you were sitting in. Take a moment to stretch, take a deep breath, and when you're ready, open your eyes and stretch. You can now turn on your camera and your sound. Okay, so before anybody says anything, I would like you to write this time what you experienced. And again, whatever you experienced is fine. I had someone say, as I said earlier, all they experienced was color. Write about that. But I'd like you to spend we're going to give you about 10 minutes to write what you experienced. Be as detailed as you can. If you need to do sketches to add to it, perfect. But I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to do that. And I will put my timer on now so I don't forget you. And then we are going to come together and share what we have. So go ahead and mute your mic. And we will come back together in 10 minutes. Okay, I'm going to give you a minute more, and then I'm going to throw something at you that will help you finish your story. Okay, so I'd like everybody to bring your attention to the screen. In your visualization, there was a point where you stopped the story. It paused. With the next image that you see, this is what you need to finish your story with whatever this image is. That needs to be in the end of your story. Now you can finish your saga. Okay, so I'm going to take this down. And this time I'll ask for a volunteer who wants to go first and read me what they wrote. Okay, everybody's jumping at once. There we go. Okay, all right, Bob.
Yeah, I figured you got going back to the alphabet, and I'd be pretty close to the top anyway. So
Just jump in.
go. The doorway was a medieval book cover that slowly opened to discover a field of green and moss abound, a quiet and eerie sort of sound. I wondered what indeed there was for me to see with such a buzz. I heard a giggle so soft and sweet, I knew that it was time to meet. I asked them gently to appear, to not be shy or have a fear. I told them I would like to see that thing with voice to me. They told me not to worry and came out in a flurry. Such gentle souls these fairies were. My heart felt calm and my vision pure. I never wanted more to stay, to be with them and there to play. But the time had come to say goodbye and sail away across the sky.
Love it.
There you go.
And we got to follow that.
Good job. Love it. Okay, volunteers, who wants to go next? Okay, Cecilia.
So my book cover had a dark green cover with gold scrolls on it. And when it opened up, it was on a wooded area. Sorry, I'm not going to do a poem like Bob did. And as I walked through it, there were a lot of tall trees with the sunlight filtering through the leaves. And there was a soft breeze. And I was wearing like a leather tunic with like bubble shorts, you know, the big, like, anyway, I don't know why, but that's what I was wearing. And I was barefooted because the ground was covered with a soft green moss. And I'm kind of on this little hill overlooking a pond that has a turret in the middle of it. So I cross the pond and it's on a bridge, and it might be a wooden bridge. I'm not real sure, but it's like an arched bridge. And so I cross over to the turret, and I look up in the tree, and I ask this little bird who I'm supposed to see. And he directs me to go to the turret. So I walk up to the turret and there's a doorway there, but in front of the doorway is a scholarly dragon. He's got glasses on, and that's where it, kind of stopped. And he looks down at me and he tells me that I need to take a cello boat across the lake because the adventure awaits me there. And so I climb in and I wave goodbye to the dragon and I set sail across the lake to see where it takes me. And I don't know what awaits me there, but I'm very excited to be on this journey.
Yay. Good job. Awesome. Who's next? Okay, Debbie.
Okay. Okay, I didn't think about the book. I just started writing about as I was walking through a forest. It's twilight, and I'm looking for something. I was holding a candle raised in my right hand, my left hand trailing behind me. I was much younger, for whatever reason, with hair streaming and 2 ponytails behind. The air was moist and cool. I could smell the green with moss, gently decaying leaves. The ground was soft and spongy underfoot. I was moving slowly and carefully, moving my head side to side. I heard rolling thunder in the distance. This is because my neighbor started bringing his garbage cans in.
Well, I still let everything around you be part of it, so.
Funny.
I am in a clearing walking towards a section where the forest thickens. A small creature is curled under the brush in the tree line. I move closer. I can see it's brown, furry, and curled in a ball. Boy, great English. I can see its small sides move in and out with its breath. It is alive. I guess I was worried it was dead. It is my dog, Maggie. Her eyes are closed. She hasn't yet sensed me. This is where you put up the picture. Okay. I quickened my step towards her. She opened one eye to lazily assess her surroundings. I came to a stop 10 feet away from her. She pops up her head and cocks her head to focus on me. She joyfully leaps to her feet and bounces straight at me, positively hoping that my left hand at my side, slightly behind, holds a tennis ball. So.
Great. Okay. Great. Love it. Thank you. Okay. How about Georgia?
Okay. Didn't write down what the book looked like. So I saw warmth, sunlight outside. I'm on a sandy beach. There must be a ship here for me, but I don't see it. Oh, wait, off in the distance, I see a weirdo in a guitar boat. I observe him for a while and then turn and walk in the opposite direction because I know that isn't my path.
Love it. Great. Okay. So we have 2 people left. Who wants to go first?
Oh, I'll go.
Okay.
I didn't get much imagery until about halfway through, so I didn't get anything for the book cover and was just walking through a forest. And then I ended up at my grandparents' dining room with people all together that aren't actually still all alive at the same time. And then went to the living room and she had a grand piano and then the cello boat guy or guitar boat guy kind of landed on top of the piano and they were having a music war. So.
Oh.
Okay. I love that. I like that that's where yours went because again, you do a lot of art that's focused on family and memories and all of that. So it's kind of cool that that's where your imagery went. And also not to, oh, cool.
Stunning drawing. Can you see that?
Yes.
So she had a plate rail around her dining room.
Oh.
And here's the cello guy right here. He's sitting on top of the piano.
Oh, cool.
That's the front door. So
That's great.
I love it. I love it. Perfect. Okay. And Barbara.
Well, I tried this the last time and I didn't get anywhere either. I don't know how you people are doing all this wonderful stuff. I only got to the door and the door was white and it was leather and shiny. and I get through the door and there's green grass. But after that, I am lost. So I don't know what I'm doing.
You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You are going where your creativity wanted you to go. So tell me what that green grass felt like to you. What does that mean to you?
Just it's very cool and green. Nature, I guess.
Nature, right. So if you like gardening and I think you mentioned you like tactile things before, you like quilting. This is just where your mind goes. It goes to something differently than everyone else's. Doesn't make it wrong. It is anything but wrong. That's where your creativity wanted to go. And that grass signifies nature, outdoors, peace, whatever those feelings are, that's exactly where you were supposed to go. So you didn't fail the test.
Oh, no, there's no test.
There's no test. You were supposed to. And you actually also said, you described the book cover.
Yes. And then after this was all done and after you showed the boat, then I turned around and did another collage. So I'm very strange. I don't know. I'm very mixed up.
No, you're very creative. Let's see your collage.
That's what you get for knitting.
This for keep forgetting.
Yeah.
So you said you made a collage?
Yeah, I made another one afterwards. So
Let's see what you got. Cool.
so I don't know. Maybe that just means my thoughts are all scattered. I'm not real sure.
Looks
Like
like
outdoors. You didn't. This time you didn't put a box in it. It was all free and out there. So I don't see that.
Box in the corner, but it's over in the corner.
If you, when you're talking, if just what you just described, the box, everything else is outside the box. You left the box and went outside. You went outside in your imagination. So I think you did exactly what you should do. And think about when you explain seeing the grass. Did you feel good? Did it make you feel good? Did it make you feel uneasy? Did it make you feel at peace? So all of those things are connected. Your imagination, your creative center is connecting those things in a way that only your creativity can do. So yes, you did exactly what you're supposed to do. So, okay. So did anybody have a hard time doing this being the central character? Okay, Debbie, you're nodding your head. Everybody else is kind of okay with that. So we're going to try one more thing. We'll have, thank goodness, just enough time to fix that. One last question. How comfortable were you with the visualization?
I had a lot of distractions. My whole family's like walking around the house and stuff. So that part was a challenge for me.
Okay. So we're going to do this one more time. And if you hear, just like the garbage cans turning into thunder, which I like, if you hear somebody walking around, let that be part of what's happening in your imagination. Bring those elements into what's going on with around. It's a very meditative tip, but if you hear somebody walking, bring that into whatever's going on in the story. If you hear somebody rummaging around, bring that sound in and see what happens. Okay?
There'll be a lot of people snacking in my story then.
A couple dragons munching on something, right?
Yeah.
With you.
well, they share.
Mess of construction going around me right now, so I'll be building.
There's some good stuff you can bring in with it. Okay, anybody else?
Now, one of the things that I had was when I started to envision going through the door and all of a sudden things started mixing up. Instead of like a medieval cover, all of a sudden it was a cookbook. And it opened up, and as I walked in, there were all kinds of dishes and ham bones and veal parmesan floating through the air and all around.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry for lunch.
I've
A lot of cooking lately.
That's perfectly fine. Let that, when it starts to do that, let it do that. Just see where it takes you.
I had to try to refocus it back in
Uh-huh.
to do something with, I wanted to do something initially with a dragon or something, but instead it shifted to a fairy.
And your creativity took you where it wanted to go.
Yeah.
Just let it go there. If it turns into dishes, go, oh, wow, it's turning into dishes. Wonder where this is taking me, and see what happens.
Oh, okay.
Just let it go. You are constructing a story, but by the same token, see what where the story takes you. If it's turning into dishes, your imagination wanted it to turn into dishes as part of the story. So yeah, awesome. Thank you for bringing that up, because that happens a lot with everybody. Okay, we're going to do one more. So everybody, if you would once again, make sure you're muted and turn your camera off. And I'll turn mine off. All right. So this one's a little different, but we're going to start out the same. Sit comfortably in your chair, close your eyes, and follow along with me as your own creative self guides you once again. If you hear sounds around you, just allow them to be part of the background or your story. Give yourself those 2 deep breaths, 2 and 1. And now, keeping your eyes closed, imagine that the lights in the room you're in are slowly dimming. Just allow them to darken, knowing you're completely safe and about to embark on a short adventure into your creative heart. While still imagining your surroundings to be comfortably dark, now allow yourself to be very aware of the seat you're sitting in. Feel where it meets your back and your legs. And now imagine that seat changing just a little. If you had no armrests before, imagine that you now have them, and there are cup holders at the end of each one. Now imagine that the lights are slowly beginning to brighten, just a little, and as they do, realize that you're no longer in the room where you were in, but you're now in your own private movie theater. This is a place of safety, welcome, and joy. Observe everything about the room about you. What does it look like? Is it large with lots of seats for guests? Or is it small with space only for your chair? Is it clean and modern or ornate and traditional? Are you sitting closer to the screen or farther back in the room? Is this from a place in memory, made up, or is it a combination? Again, observe with all your senses: taste, smell, hearing, feel. Is there anything in your cup holder? Now notice that you have a small remote control with several buttons on it that fit perfectly in your hand. Press any one of the buttons and notice that the house lights once again begin to dim a little. Allow your attention to drift to the movie screen in the front of the theater and notice that it's coming to life. You see the words "Once Upon a Time" appear across the top, and underneath that is your name as the director. The movie starts with an image of your favorite hero, character, or animal. Whatever first comes to mind, simply go with it. Notice the setting in the story on the screen. Where is it? When is it? Now allow the movie to unfold, whether it's a familiar story or a new one. What is the character doing? Does he or she interact with others, human or animal? See where the movie takes you. Let it be what it will be. For some, their movies will just be vignettes or stills, and for others, a complete story. It's all valid and unfolding just as it should. Give yourself a few moments here to experience what's happening in your film. Now your movie is coming to an end. It feels like the story isn't finished, but don't worry about it. Simply know the film will have a sequel and you can come back here again if you wish. Watch the screen as you observe the credits begin to roll down the screen, and notice that the directing, casting, special effects, musical score, everything related to your movie is attributed to you. Congratulate yourself on an Academy Award-winning effort. As the lights come up in your theater, remind yourself that this was your film and you will remember it in all detail. Observe the theater surroundings once again before it's time to go. And now imagine that you're in your theater seat. You close your eyes once again, becoming aware of how your chair feels. Allow it to transform back into the chair in front of your computer, leaving your theater behind, knowing you can return anytime you want to. Take a deep breath, and when you're ready, open your eyes and stretch and turn on your camera again. Okay, I'm going to give everybody, once again, only this time about 5 minutes to write down your experience, and then we're going to share. One of the things I'd like you to pay attention to is, did it feel different as you not being the main character and instead being the director? So you were stepping back this time. So give yourself a few minutes to write down your impressions or your memories of it, and we will share. Okay, who's ready to share? Okay, Georgia.
Okay. I am sitting in the movie theater in Monroe. I'm alone, except for my son is sitting a few rows over playing Minecraft. The floor is sticky, the movie starts, and I see and hear a Stellar's Jay squawking for peanuts. We fly to the top of the big cedar tree in my yard, and I can see all around our property. The bird squawks at my father-in-law getting the mail. And then my father-in-law brought the mail in my house, and the kids were asking him what was the mail, and then I lost it.
How did it feel for you being the stepping back and being the director instead of being the main character?
About the same, I guess.
See?
It's
Okay.
not that different for me.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. Who's next? You know what happens. Okay, Cecilia.
I didn't get too much on this. My theater looked like a kind of a small version of a theater you go to, but it was clean. There wasn't, I could smell popcorn popping, which is always nice. I think I'm hungry too.
Yeah, me too.
But the opening scene was a unicorn looking out over a mountain vista. There was a valley with a small lake that was glistening in the sun. And she started down because she was headed toward home. And that's pretty much where it's just stopped. But this was a little harder being the director.
Okay, instead of you being the main character.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you, are you more conscious of what people might say about your art?
Yeah.
Okay. So that kind of makes sense, because if you're directing, you're telling everybody else what to do and what looks good. And if you are the character, you're the one going, okay, I don't care, I'm just going to do it. So that could be a little tell for you there. So
Okay.
be the director more.
Okay.
Okay, who's next?
I'll go next. I got more this time.
Okay.
It was a modern theater, more like an Art Deco
Okay.
design. It was just me, and I'm more in the middle of the aisle than at the back or way at the front. I could see the lights dimming, and then the image would, the screen would start like the image was coming up, and that's about it. That's what I got. But I got more than I did last time.
And that's a lot. That's a lot. And you were obviously more comfortable with being the director instead of the person who is the main character.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So good job. All right. Good job. Who's next? Okay, Bob, since you're sitting right next to Barbara, let's go with you.
I thought I'd just be quiet.
Doesn't work with me.
No. So I'm in my own private movie theater. Basically a home theater, 3 levels with a screen down at the bottom. And in the back, if you're looking towards the back, there's a doorway in the center. And to the left of it is a bar, complete with all kinds of liquors and all, with refrigerator,
Pam.
glasses and all. And on the right-hand side is a theater display case that has candies and peanuts and goodies in there. When to the back is a commercial popcorn popper, and then a hot dog steamy wheel where the hot dogs go round and round and round. And then to the left of that is a big giant malted milkshake maker. And at the time I'm grabbing all the food and stuff and going to sit on the top part of the theater where it's only 2 seats with me sitting up there, looking down at the screen, and it slowly starts opening up. It says, "Once upon a time with me as the director." And as we open up, we come across a magical food kitchen with multiple stations. And in it, there is a giraffe who is the MC talking about what the challenge is going to be for these characters. And the cooks or chefs are an alligator, a weasel, and a pig. And so they're cooking, and while they're trying to cook various dishes, you find that the food is moving on the plate. In fact, some of the food is jumping off the plate, and they're having to chase it around to get it back. And finally, at the end, when they finally finish cooking, the weasel wins because he is a weasel, and you know how weasels are.
Good
That'd
job.
make a good children's book story.
Yeah. Great.
Good job. And how did you feel between the two, you being the main character versus being the director?
I guess I didn't feel really any different.
Okay.
Other than the fact that I guess I was in the background versus actually being a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But somehow I felt I was a part of it, even though I was in the background because I was right there.
Great.
So yeah, I guess I didn't feel any different.
Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. Thanks. How about Pam?
I had jet packs that moved me from my seat to the theater, and the theater was, the seats were round, semicircle, and I was in the middle, and I was the only one there, but they were red velvet, and the theater was domed, and then the subject of the movie was a good-looking young man, not real young, walking towards the lake. We stopped to chop some wood, and he walked to the lake, and there was this beautiful lake. And that was where it ended.
Cool.
And it didn't feel any different to me. It just felt like 2 different.
Just from different
Yeah.
viewpoints. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Debbie.
I'm in an older theater, a combination of several different ones from my youth. I'm in the first row of the balcony. I thought I was alone. The chair is the type that if you don't weigh a lot, it tries to fold back on you. My feet don't reach the floor. I'm getting cranky without food, I think. Smells like an old musty house, you know, the oldness, and stale popcorn. I have a Pepsi and popcorn. Someone was banging on my chair, and I want to smack them. It was probably the hammering outside that came in at that point. Then I'm right in front of the stage, and a fog rolls over the stage. Luminaire from Beauty and the Beast is conducting a dance of various Disney characters, the teapots, cards from Alice in Wonderland, Mad Hatter, all that crew.
Full cast.
I yell at them to make my lunch. They start and they ignore me and start dancing more madly. Neo from The Matrix comes in and orders them at gunpoint to stop dancing and make my lunch. They did. I'm not a good director, and I'm cranky when I'm hungry. Sorry.
Full cast. I got to say that.
Put on me. What can I say?
And how did the two feel to you? Any different or?
I didn't feel terribly comfortable as either.
Okay. And any feelings as to why that would be?
Director.
I'm sorry.
I had to have Neo come in and help me direct.
Okay. I think you did great. I think you did a good job. And I think we still have one more, did we not?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go back and we're almost done here. Good job, everybody. Go back to this. And of course, it keeps going back to that same one. So this was for this guy here, but in conclusion, if you want to be more creative, you just have to do it. Have a regular practice that works for you and nurtures your own particular brand of imagination, and stick to it as much as you can. But play and explore. Whatever you create will be different than what someone else does. And thank goodness for that. The world needs more of you and that creative spark in your heart and mind. Most importantly, don't be afraid to let your inner child out to play. You never know what you'll learn and discover. So from today, is there any one exercise, and I'll start in alphabetical order as the last thing we do, that was easier for you out of all of them, and one where you just decided there is no way I'm going to do that again? So how about Barbara?
Well, I think the words and the imagination is the hardest thing for me to close my eyes and imagine all the things you're saying. That's really, really hard for me for some reason. And then making something out of the words, that was really, really difficult. So those are the ones I guess I need to really concentrate on. The paper cutting and the abstraction was a breeze for some reason. I mean, I didn't have a problem with that. I'll go back to that. But these other two were really difficult.
And this goes too for everybody. Find things that echo that exercise. You know, talk about quilting. Find things that are tactile. More things. Cooking is tactile, and it's also sensory. So do more of that. Those are things that will encourage your creativity. But then find things that you can plug in there that were more of a challenge.
I think I have to use the plug-in of more of a challenge. I think I've got the other, and I've got enough doing with that. It's trying the harder stuff.
Right. Bob.
Hi. Words that seem to come easy to me. I like to manipulate words anyway, and then I tend to fall into poetry whenever I get a shot at it. So I will do that quickly. I might be a frustrated poet and don't really know it, I guess. I would think the part that was hard for me, though, was abstract. I just couldn't get my mind around abstract. And I almost wanted to just put one strip vertically and one strip horizontally and say I'm doing a Mondrian.
It works for him.
I know. So, yeah, that was the hardest part for me was the abstract.
Okay. And play with that. Make cut out paper of different colors and make a mosaic of a dragon. Because I know you and I both like making dragons.
Oh, I love dragons.
So make your eyes see shapes out of lots of little shapes, and then go out from there. That could be an activity you could do that would build on that.
In fact, I want to be the first person to buy your dragon book. Remember, I talked to you about doing a dragon book. I'll send you a deposit.
Right now I'm stuck on senior dragon, so.
That's okay.
That's okay. He loves all dragons. He's not partial to one
Yeah.
kind.
Yeah.
Opportunity dragon lover.
He is an equal opportunity.
Okay, Cecilia, how about you? What was the hardest and what was easiest for you?
I'm like Bob. The hardest for me was the abstract. Yeah, everybody, always says, "Oh, well, I could do that." Well, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not so easy as it looks. But I think I'm going to do like you said and try to, do different shapes to try to make a picture of something. I think that would kind of be a fun way to pull in those abstracts. I think my favorite part was being the main character in my story. I like the words too, but I really enjoyed being the main character.
And you can go back into that story. And one of the other things, if you go online and just pull out images and put them on a piece of paper and shuffle them up, do your story, go back into that kind of meditative again. And when you sit back and open your eyes again, open up the first page that you printed out and finish the story with that.
Okay, that'll be fun.
Yeah, it's a fun exercise. So cool. All right. Thank you. How about Debbie?
There I am. I think the easiest for me was the music one. Music really speaks to me, and it's sort of, because it's the emotional and movement, and I really like capturing movement when I make things, when I can. The hardest was probably the both Once Upon a Times. I think the director was harder. And I know I've done one of these before with you, the visualizations, and I love it because it's something I wish I could do and I can't normally do, but when you guide it, I can do it.
Okay.
Which, I find is interesting because I got so excited the first time I did it with you in one of your other classes, and then I went and tried to do it myself and was a phenomenal flop. So they need an audio book with all these visual, different visits, or you need to make one. And
well, if I can get this into a video on YouTube, I'll let you know, and then you'll be able to do it again.
It's just that's super helpful how you do that, and otherwise it's something I can't do.
Well, I think you did a phenomenal job today. So,
and I just think this is such a fabulous group. You just attract the best people. Everybody,
you all
everybody
are people. So, yes, you
I've
are
had fun.
good. How about you, Georgia? What was
the easiest was the words, probably. The music was easy for me too, and then the abstraction was the hardest.
that seems like it's the hardest for several people. But again, you could play with it in different ways and see what it brings you. I'm right there with you. It's hard for me. I just want to dive right in and do details.
Yeah, I do this technique where I will paint really loosely and then find something in it and turn it into something. So that's about as abstract as I can easily get.
That's what you do, though. I
like shapes and stuff, putting them together into a composition. That's really challenging.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And Pam, first of all, I want to say thank you for letting me use your piece as an example.
So Jan and I are together in our colored pencil group, and we're on the board, so we work together a lot. And one reason I wanted to take this was because I really love doing abstracting, but I have a hard time finding the key to the door. So I think I liked the shape approach, and I really like shapes. So for example, with the Pachamama one, that was a result of taking this little Pachamama here, which is from Peru. She is if you don't know, she is the Inca equivalent of the Virgin Mary, Mother Earth. So when the Christians came in and combined with the Christianity, they didn't demand that the Incas get rid of everything. So this is their Pachamama. So it's a cool concept, and this is a modern Pachamama. I have a Pachamama that my husband's family bought in 1953. So I pulled some symbols out of here and rearranged them for that. So that was one approach. And then the other one, the Cucina Concerto one, I had set up a set of rules for myself that had to be square. There needed to be 4 sections. The lines had to do certain things. So I set out all these lines, and then I erased areas to create cool shapes. And I've done that probably 10, 15 times, and sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't work well. But I really like the Pachamama one. And so I'm not a sketchbook person, but I think it might be a valid exercise for me to try to do on a regular basis, is to take something and break it down into shapes, and then maybe load those into Photoshop and fool around with, so you don't have to redraw.
Yeah.
Fool around with arrangements and then not worrying about colors and execution and any of that at that point. I really enjoy working in a square. There's a real challenge in working in a square, and it's a very I like those parameters, and I really enjoyed, like with the Cucina Concerto one, setting up those rules for myself. It was a real challenge and a fun challenge to do that. I just felt like I kind of ran out of gas. And I haven't done it for a while. But I really enjoy abstracting a lot, really. But when it works, but it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
Did you find like putting your the rules that you had to follow, did that make it harder or easier for you?
It made it easier. One of the rules was that every shape had to be completely enclosed. So you almost do it like a coloring book type of thing when you executed it. So that was probably the main rule, but it just doesn't always work. So it's just to my satisfaction. So it's fun and challenging, and I like to be challenged, but this gave me some ideas for some different ways to approach it. So thank you, Dan.
You're welcome. What was the hardest one for you?
Oh, I like guided imagery, but I don't think it would get me anywhere.
Okay. So
in terms of the direction I would want to go.
right. And which is, again, valid. It's everything. We did so many different ways for different reasons, and some will click with one person and won't click with another, and that's the way it's supposed to be. You're just supposed to go with your own creative wiring, which is, again, the word is valid. It is valid, and it'll bring you a long way if you just go with it. Did anybody else have any? We're a little bit over. Did anybody else have any other comments or questions they wanted to ask? I think we're good. Okay. So
I find it a lot of help to have come to the table with some rules or limitations, because then it makes you think outside the box, or sometimes I just get overwhelmed by my choices.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
What Pam said.
Totally understand that one. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else rather? Okay. Well, thank you all for being here today and for participating. You all totally rock, and I can't wait to see you on Facebook again. So have a great day, have a great weekend, and thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.